Hey everyone, and welcome back, you Star Wars fans. So, now that the Kenobi series is actually over and we've had some time to actually process everything, I wanted to do a quick review. Mostly because I keep seeing people on Reddit and other social media saying that they aren't actually hearing any of the original themes and music in the Kenobi series and the score. But that's just not true, and today, Jackson and I are going to show you exactly why that's wrong and how we are actually hearing these themes used throughout the series. And then I'm going to give you my own personal opinion and review of the music within the series. My name is Derek, and this is Star Wars Music Analysis.
Do it.
So, I keep seeing people say that we don't actually hear the original themes or legacy themes in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and it's driving me crazy because I literally just made videos for a month about how we are actually hearing these different themes. But I also understand that a lot of the confusion is actually coming from the fact that we aren't hearing them the same way, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. In fact, a lot of Holt's score is actually being based off of those original themes, and she's using a basic compositional technique known as variation with those themes, and I want to show you all what I mean by this in today's video, and then I'm going to explain why it's a good thing that this is happening. So let's start with the concept of a variation. As a composer, when I begin composing, I like to start by having some sort of theme, or maybe even a short motif that I'm going to work with. So let's use the theme for this channel for a second. From there, I'm going to start to experiment with that theme to see if I can find different ways that I can create it while also altering it. This way, I don't have to come up with new music every 8 measures. Instead, I can just go to these different variations and transition however I want. Some of the ways that I vary a theme are by altering its pitches or intervals. So, by altering the rhythm, by changing the mode, maybe from major to minor or minor to major, and by cutting out little motifs and then building ostinato or different things off of those as well. Or, one of my favorites is actually making the theme the baseline and creating something else over top of it. Let me give you another example from Mozart's 12 Variations. This is a piece that a lot of us as musicians will start with when studying theme and variations because it's showing very basic variation techniques. The theme for this is actually what we know as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Baa Baa Black Sheep, or the alphabet song, so it's easily recognizable. So now let's look at some of the variations that are used. In the first variation, Mozart's added significant non-harmonic tones to skew the original melody. However, if we listen closely, we can still hear the theme hidden within. By the 8th variation, there's imitation in the left hand, but the entire piece is now in minor and additional passing tones are still present. Variation 11 is slow with lots of decorative turns and ornamentations. And variation 12 is actually in a triple meter instead of the original duple and later quadruple meters. Now, some of these variations really stop sounding like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and many people would actually not be able to recognize these for what they are without having been told first, and their listening had been redirected. But they are still variations and deviations from that original theme. And this is early variation technique. By the time you get to Beethoven and later Brahms, variations are going way further, and you can actually lose complete track of how anything refers to the original theme anymore. But for now, let's go over to the Kenobi series and inspect some of the ways that the Imperial March was heard just in variation. So I want to start with Vader's theme first. We all know it, but here it is. Three statements of the same note, followed by a descending major third, and then an ascending perfect fifth that goes back to the original note, ironically actually outlining a major triad. Okay, so now I'm just going to play those pitches, but without the rhythm. Do you still hear it as Vader's theme? And most likely the answer is yes, and I could change the rhythm a little bit with this as well. But we still hear those identifiable pitches and intervals that connect us to Vader's theme. And if we listen closely at the beginning of part 3, that is what the music is being built off of in the bass line. I'm boosting the bass here a little to help you hear this, but Vader's theme in the variation that I just showed you is what the rest of the music is being built up from. Another way of doing this that we hear at different points in the show is this half-step turn against that simplified bass. Listen to this and see if you remember it from the show. Now, is this as thrilling as just hearing Vader's theme outright? No, but I'm going to address this more in just a bit. But to go further, the Imperial March in its entirety is a lot more than just Vader's theme. It has this aggressive, repetitive, rhythmic ostinato that drives through a lot of it, and most notably acts as an introduction here. Well, we get that same ostinato as Vader walks through these tunnels on the hunt for Kenobi. We also have this musical figure that comes up throughout the Imperial March as well. We can generalize it to be a half-step turn, and then an ascending minor third. Whether it is a trill or not doesn't really matter, we still have this figure.
Pray I don't alter it any further.
Now follow me on this. This is the part of the Imperial March that is not Vader's theme. Therefore, this is the part of the march that actually represents the rest of the Empire, the stormtroopers, and everyone else. And we hear this, and if you listen, whenever we see these stormtroopers, like in part 3,
Transport late again?
or part 5 as examples, this is the music that we're hearing. This is part of the Imperial March, and we're hearing it all the time for the Imperial Army. So I really hope people will stop complaining that they didn't get the Imperial March during these different parts. And I'm going to give you my fair take on this. As a Star Wars fan, I want that raw theme just thrown at me. And I wish that instead of waiting until the very last episode to give us these themes, if you wanted to give these sparingly still, just choose one moment from each episode to give us one of these themes. Like part 1 could just be Kenobi's theme. Then part 2, give us the Force theme. Part 3, Vader's theme. Part 4, the rest of the Imperial March. Part 5 Leia's theme, and then go crazy in Part 6, but give us something throughout to help us along the way. But as a creative artist and composer, I absolutely love this. It gave the composer Natalie Holt 5 entire episodes of complete freedom to expand what the music of these subjects are without creating entirely new music. See, these themes need to continue to be explored, varied, and developed. Otherwise, the themes themselves continue to become diminished and less effective, and I applaud everyone involved in trying to keep these themes and the music for these different characters fresh and interesting, while still being willing to give us the outright themes at the end. We also, as I noted before, do get this great reference to the Rebel fanfare in Part 4 as the speeders come flying into the Fortress Inquisitorius. But we were so focused on looking for the obvious exact melody and cue that we missed all of the subtle references that we were being offered. So please, if you hear or see someone saying that they didn't hear the Imperial March or anything during this show, please point them towards this video to help them understand. Now, here's my overall opinion of the music for this show. It was okay. I didn't like the production value and overall sound quality. I felt like a lot of the moments I was mentioning and the music in general was lost in the overall soundscape because everything was trying to sound dark and spacious all at the same time. There wasn't enough foreground in much of the music production, and we also have the issue, as I mentioned earlier, and as was also recently revealed in an article, that the score feels overly modern. It doesn't hark back to the original grand operatic sound enough that's rooted in the stories of legacy characters. This was a mistake. Now, take a show like Mandalorian or the upcoming Andor series, and this same technique works because there's more distance for an audience from the characters and storylines in comparison to the original music by John Williams. But this needed to tie Revenge of the Sith into A New Hope, and the music needed to be a big part of that bridge. By giving us a different aesthetic, it was doomed to fail. And while I think Holt has a lot of strengths, her inability to manipulate harmony in as rich of a chromatic style as Williams himself, and instead leaning more on those, again, modern composition techniques of looping chord progressions and drones, really took away from the tension of the score for me. I mentioned this at one point during my Part 5 breakdown. The music wasn't terrible. It had a lot of really great moments, and I thought Holt actually did an incredible job at many of the variations and developments that she gave us. But I kept feeling like we were almost back to the sound I was hoping for, just not back there, and then it backed off of it. Okay, but what do you all think now as well? I know I've brought this stuff up in other videos, but it just felt like it needed to be summed up one more time. What were the strengths and the weaknesses of the music for you? And please give one of each, just to be fair. Tell me in the comments below, and before you go, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to learn more about the music of a galaxy far, far away. And as always, may the be with you.